Mercedes India has been on the offense in 2024. We've already seen the EQE all-electric SUV. We've seen the GLC 43 Coupe. We've seen the GLC 300, the C300 sedan, and now we have this. However, while all those cars were great, this one is a bit more special. For one thing, the headroom. Excuse the audio quality because we have another cabriolet in the Mercedes-Benz portfolio. Not too long after the E53, we now have the CLE 300. Now, believe it or not, the CLE is the third cabriolet or convertible in the Mercedes lineup. The SL, of course, is the most sportier version. The E53 is a bit more aggressive. This one is for those who solely want that wind in the hair experience, but do not want to sacrifice comfort. What's powering the CLE 300 is a 258 horsepower, 400 Newton meters, and also a 48 volt mild hybrid system. 0 to 100 is a quick 6.6 seconds according to Mercedes, but we've timed it on our own as well, and here are the results. Now, speaking of the performance on this 300 engine, it's nothing different from the GLC 300 or the C300. The tune is exactly the same, which means you have a nice linear power delivery with a meaty torque band, and that means power is available on tap. Press your right foot and there is no hesitation. What you also get are drive modes to choose from between Eco, Comfort, Sport and Individual, and of course they change the characteristics when it comes to the steering, the engine response, the gearbox, but what they don't change is the suspension. Abroad, this car does come with adaptive suspension. The ride can be altered by up to 15 mm as well. However, on the India spec car, we have a standard setup, and it's not set up to be overly sporty, and that's a good thing. It's got a lovely balance of comfort and firmness. Of course, it's not an AMG, so in the corners, it's not as tight and composed, but it still is very, very good.
Part of that is down to the 4MATIC system that ensures grip to all wheels as needed. But while the grip is nothing to worry about, the low ground clearance will have you cautious over speed breakers, especially with passengers and some luggage.
What the CLE 300 also gets, like on the C300, is the option to increase the exhaust note. Now, of course, it's nothing to be proud of. It's not a 6-cylinder, definitely nowhere close to a V8, but you do get a bit of that extra grunt when you select the Sport for the exhaust.
However, this car is not for blaring exhaust and attacking corners. It's for relaxed drives in the right ambience. And speaking of ambience, the interior of the CLE is worth mentioning as well.
Coming to the CLE, the first thing you notice is it's nice and low, and the second are, of course, the heavy doors. It's a 2-door, so they are nice big doors, and they are quite heavy as well. Seat belt, of course, come towards you to help you. And once you're in here, if you've seen the C-Class, you've probably seen the CLE. The layout is pretty much the same. The touchscreen, the instrument cluster, the steering wheel, it's all borrowed from the C-Class. However, there are some exclusive CLE bits. The first one for this massive screen is you have a tilt function like you do on the SL55 as well. Basically means if the sun is glaring too harsh, you can't really see what's going on in here. You just press this and it will adjust. It can move up to 40 degrees. That's quite a bit of an adjustment. So it definitely can change and avoid the sun glare. The other is the switch gear below for the convertible roof. You have one switch to open it, one switch to close it, and you have the center switch, which basically is the air deflector. Basically, flaps come up and they don't mess about with your hair. Now, the thing about the convertible roof opening and closing, they are buttons that you have to keep on holding. You can't really push them once and be done with it. You have to hold them through the entire process. There's a bit of a chime at the end of the open and close. So that's how you know that the process is fully complete. Other things are a neck warmer. You've seen these in SLs before. It basically throws in warm air onto your neck. Mercedes calls it air scarf. Very handy when you're up in the mountains, when the air is really nice and chilly. And the button for that is right here alongside the seat ventilation and seat heating. Memory seats are also part of the package. You have electric adjust, lots of adjustments for these seats. And speaking of the seats, they are really comfortable. They are not sports seats. Thankfully, they are not AMG seats, even though this is the AMG line. So you have really nice, comfortable seats, lots of adjustment, and the cushioning is very, very good too. Long distances in these are not a problem at all.
Also, like with the soft top on the outside, you can opt for a bold upholstery choice for the interior to add a bit more drama.
But because this is also a cabriolet, you also have space in the back. Now, the back seat of a convertible, always a bit of a compromise. In the CLE, let's find out. Now, getting in is not too difficult because you don't really have a roof that restricts you. All you need to do is tug along the front seat. It moves ahead automatically and you have a decent amount of space to get in. You can just basically walk inside, sit, and that's it. The seat settles back into its original position, and once you're in, well, it is a tight fit, especially if you're over 6 feet. Knee room is non-existent. Headroom obviously is not a problem when the roof is down, but when the roof is up, then it's going to feel very, very cramped. Seat obviously for two only. You can't accommodate a third person at all. You have your seat belts. Again, very upright and very, very limited in its use. Short trips from home to the club, perfectly fine. But if you're planning your own Dil Chahta Hai moment, then this is not the car. It's going to take a lot of stops to get out and stretch. And speaking of getting out, again, all you need to do is just tug along this, push the seat, and you have a lot of space. Just stand up, and from the outside, just walk out again.
What also may pose a challenge for long trips is the lack of boot space. With the soft top down, there isn't much room with only space for soft bags, but add in a spare wheel, which in our conditions is a must, and you are left with a seriously low boot. So not particularly practical, but the drive experience more than makes up for that. But on days you don't really want the open top experience, the CLE is very good as a coupe too.
And all you need to do is keep tugging on this button right here. It takes somewhere around 20 seconds, and that's not too long. Just keep it under 60 kph, and in no time, you'll have a roof on your head. That's the chime that lets you know that this is now a coupe, and it is very, very different. Suddenly you are isolated. The insulation is very good. Road noise, wind noise, very well contained. You don't really feel like you're in a convertible. They've used special sound deadening into the roofline as well, and that definitely helps. It is a very, very refined and calm experience once the roof is up. You can almost hear yourself breathe, which is not something you can do on many convertibles. You always have a bit of that road noise seeping through. You have some wind noise, some buffeting. Not on this one. The things with the roof up are very nice. Like I said, very C-class like, so nothing really to complain here. But it's also nothing special. When you buy a convertible, you almost look for every chance to put that roof down. And especially when you have a day like this, when you get to a road like this, I think that's the right thing to do.
However, it's not every day that you will be in a scenic location.
No, convertible feels very nice to drive when you're driving it on open roads. You have these winding sections, fresh air, nice view, but most of the time that's not the case. Most of the times you drive it around situations like these in a very packed hustle bustle of a city, and that honestly is not for everyone because convertibles are massive attention seekers. Even with the roof up, you have a lot of people constantly eyeing you, and if that's something you're not comfortable with, then it's going to take you back very strongly. It all seems very nice on paper, you know, it's a convertible. But when you take the roof down, you get people looking at you all the time. Attention is something you cannot miss. And the other things, of course, you have the noise You have the pollution, the dust, the heckling, a lot of hecklers in the city. If you can't deal with any of that, then a convertible can be very, very difficult. But these are the real things. This is the environment it's going to be in most of the time. It's not lush green forests, it's not mountains, it's not the best weather at all. Temperatures, whoop, someone trying to cut in. And that's when you realize you pay a hefty amount for that experience. 1.1 crore.
Sure, these are some of the everyday concerns, but what you buy a convertible for, what the customers will spend over a crore on, is a car that stands out not just for the convertible experience, but even for the design. There's a faint resemblance to the C-Class, but that's all it is. Up close, the CLE is very different. The India spec gets the AMG line as standard, which adds a layer of sportiness to the design. As a result, the only chrome bits on the face are the studded grille and the strip on the front lip. The digital LED headlamps are wider and sharper, the bonnet features two muscular power lines, and the bumpers are sportier with piano black accents. Over to the side, you can tell it's closer to a C-Class in dimension thanks to an identical wheelbase. However, it trumps the C when it comes to length and width. There's a prominent strip of chrome on the window line, the A-pillars and the door handles as well. What also look the part are the sleek 19-inch wheels. A lot of the design will owe to your choice of color combination as well. The soft top can be had in a subtle black shade, but if you want a bit more pop, you can have the roof in a shade of red as well. At the rear, the LED tail lamps get a connecting element and the sporty bumpers incorporate the trapezoidal chrome exhaust tips, which like on all modern Mercs, aren't actually connected to the exhaust system. With the top down, it's hard to miss the CLE despite its subtleties. The long bonnet, raked windshield, sharp wheels and a stunning stance definitely make it a looker. But even with the top up, it's not like you'll oversee it just as another Merc sedan. The lines and form factor are properly unique, and with the right color combination, it will stand out. What the CLE 300 offers is a car that is comfy and luxurious enough to use as a daily, but in 20 seconds can change character and offer a completely different experience. It sits at a sweet spot with no direct competition, and if a smooth, relaxing convertible is what you want, there really is no other choice.